So, Predator.
The Predator?
The Predator.
The Predator.
2018. Not Predator with Arnold Schwarzenegger from 1987, or Predators with Adrian Brody. No, this is The Predator.
The Predator.
The Predator.
Because we don't do numbers anymore because it's 2018.
Yeah.
What was your rating? What is your number rating initially before we have our discussion?
Right off about halfway through, I was like, oh, this could be a 4. This is fine. This is good. This is a lot of fun. And then by the end, I was like, no, it's a 3. It's a 3.
For once, we are
3
in
out
agreement.
of 5. Yeah.
It is. I think it's a higher 3 than a lot of people would expect us to put it.
Yeah.
It's a fun film.
It's very fun. It is.
And it's a return to form after the second Predator film, which was, in my opinion, a little off, especially given
Danny Glover.
Especially given the larger mythos. Like, I like this Predator's return to form, and again, some of that's facilitated by the original writer.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So this is Shane Black again, and he wrote the original one, and then he did a bunch of things in the middle. He's actually kind of got his whole cult following. But yeah, so having him come back was interesting because, again, it's military people instead of all the civilians from Predator 2, and everyone was just confused. Like, why is he running around killing civilians?
And it is very military. Like, the level of language and crassness and the style of jokes, very military. It earns its rating. Well, in language alone.
And then also, the blood, right?
Well, right, so, no, of course people get disemboweled and all kinds of great stuff.
Gore. There's, straight up
solid gore. It's not...
Which is one thing that the original one shied away from. There were deaths and there was killing and stuff, but the second one got much deeper into the gore.
Yeah.
And then... all the ones since then have kind of played some middle line. Mm-hmm. This is heavier on the gore.
Sure, it gets more into the Danny Glover second Predator. I almost found
more than one person cut in a way that you see their intestines. Okay.
So aside from that, the filmmaking was solid.
Yes,
it's really solid for a Predator film.
It is.
Interesting deviation, showing some things early.
Yeah.
I kind of expected a more string you along, and they were just like, nope, this is what it is, have fun.
Right. I mean, to an extent, it's we've seen Predator, so we know what he looks like.
Yeah,
there is.
Don't pretend we know it's Predator.
Right. Yeah, there's no trying to be like, ooh, what is it? What's coming? It's is it the thing from the title? Is it? It's no,
Prometheus
we know.
did all of that we want or need.
Right.
We're good.
Yeah. Oh, also no alien crossover references. So
none that I caught. Mm-hmm. I was surprised. Not a single alien skull, alien anything.
Yeah. I mean, somebody's gonna get this on DVD and freeze frame it and go frame by frame and be like, in the upper corner, in the when they're in the lab, you can see that there's.
I didn't see anything.
I didn't either, and
I was looking.
I tend to be more or less. I'm not going to say necessarily aware of it, but at least, sensitive to Easter eggs. I'm sensitive to Easter eggs.
So, what did you like about it?
Well, what did it do well? It feels to an extent like... So, we've seen movies that feel like a return to 90s filmmaking.
Yeah, that's been a thing lately, and I love it.
Yeah. So this
doesn't feel like that.
Quite like that. There were parts of it that were at the very end when he's they're talking with the son. And you're like, really? This is kind of, as far as spoilers go.
Are we doing spoilerific?
Well, we're not gonna spoil if there are any twists. We won't spoil what those twists are, but we'll talk about specific things. Some specific things, not in too great detail, so...
But, one of my major gripes was there were 2 neck throws.
Yes, yeah. And that's one of those, once I read that article about if you ever have a bad guy and he's big and strong, and he grabs somebody by the neck, if he then throws them, then all believability is gone, right? No one would ever do that.
And it very much suffered from that. The Predator... They made him big. They made him scary. They did a great job of building that up. He just insta kills all over the place.
Yeah.
And then it just happens to be the main guy, and he's got him, and it's And he throws. Like, no, why?
No, yeah,
You're absolutely dead.
Or when so there's an interesting parallel, because in one scene earlier, when he's in the house, and there's somebody above him, and he just puts his arm up, and the blade comes up and, like, skewers the guy, right? But then he gets attacked later on by the lady, and from a very similar position, and he just can't get her off. How?
Yeah,
how? And you're like, truly... really? Like, you have a bladed arm, like... We just saw this, man.
If you've written yourself into a corner where you have a bad guy that your good guys can't beat, then that's a problem. Yeah. And this movie suffered greatly from that, which is why it definitely falls into a 3 in my camp.
Yeah.
What I did like about it was I enjoyed the ensemble cast.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the character interactions, which is a surprising thing to find in a Predator film.
It was fun. Like, I thought it was kind of cheesy and tropey, and let me guess how many of them die, you know?
Right.
Just kind of like,
and in what order? Yeah. Like, you knew the order of death from the moment you saw the lot of them.
Yeah.
Almost entirely. There was one or two surprises, but I enjoyed the addition of the kid.
Yes, that was interesting.
That was, and again, some meta-narrative sci-fi stuff that, to my mind, as someone who has worked with kids that have Asperger's, that doesn't work.
Oh, yeah. No, her whole thing about, like, Asperger's is clearly, like, the next genetic step in evolution. You're like, no, absolutely not.
Have you dealt with that?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to say, they have certain strengths. Yeah, okay, sure, great point. They're more advanced than us humans in every way. No.
Yeah.
No, sorry. I wonder if you rephrase that a little, but...
So that was a little unbelievable.
At first it was just a line, and then it became a plot point, and you're like, okay...
So they tried really hard to sell the direness of the main character's predicament, and how they couldn't go anywhere else, and there's nothing else they could do but try to survive as a group, and that fell flat a little. Yeah, so ultimately, I think
contrivance, but sure,
there was a lot of contrivance. There was a lot of poor, not writing, like not scripting. So like the scripting was fine. The character dialogue was fine for the most part. It was just a
lot of the acting was good.
Yeah, solid,
perfectly passable. A lot of the dialogue, though, for me was a bit like, so in the Matrix when they says it's what is it? And then you have this back and forth dialogue where you're like
trying to build tension.
You just basically have one person like fishing out lines from the other person. So they had a little bit of that here where like somebody says a cool line, but it was set up by the other person asking them a question. Well, why did they ask them that question? Well, because they said something that you would never really say. Like the kid did it at one point.
Sure.
Where he just said like they'll see. Like who says that? Like who says? Oh, like, and then it's to bait out that line so he can
I will forgive a lot of that in an action film. If it ends up being good, it wasn't great. It wasn't greatly done, and, it's just a lot about the film could have been better.
Sure.
It was a lot of fun.
It was a lot of fun.
It made me laugh out loud several times.
It was surprisingly funny. They got a lot of the humor right for a certain brand of humor.
Yeah, if you've been in the Marine Corps, you're fine. If you live with someone who's been in the Marines and they don't shy away from that kind of humor, then you're fine.
Yeah. So I mean, because they're all military people, and especially like the military problem cases that are all doing this, you're like, okay, as far as the movie world goes, that makes perfect
totally
sense
believable.
That they'd be doing this. And actually, there is that kind of back and forth banter with really good timing like that.
And if you don't find it
so,
offensive, it's actually super adorable.
Right. The one guy with Tourette's, Tom Jane, is just like, oh man.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. Good to see him acting again, actually. I haven't seen him in much. He was in the 2004 Punisher, and then he was in the Expanse. Mm-hmm. He did a really good job in that one too. Yeah. So I really like him, but he doesn't end up getting much work these days. So I don't know. I'm glad to see him. He did a great job. I thought.
Yeah, no, I do.
Threats,
yeah. I'm really. And then I enjoyed a lot of the characters, not as much as I think they wanted us to.
Sure.
It was fine. It was a great little ensemble cast that they put together, and they sold it decently well.
Yeah. It's fine.
It was a super fun night. What did you think about the setup for future films? So not going to spoil a lot. Did you think it was corny? Did you think it was dumb?
It was tacked on.
Yeah.
Like the cut from before that scene to that scene was just kind of like, this could have been anywhere. Like,
well, you know what
this could have been at the start of the next movie.
I think that they had it as a post-credit scene, and then decided they weren't allowed to do that.
Yeah,
and so they just stuck it on the end of the film.
It would have been better.
No, like I know that theaters hate the practice of after-credit scenes. Like they truly dislike that.
Yeah,
because it doesn't give them time to clean. It doesn't do a lot of things. But if any film is going to start doing universe building post-credit scenes, the Alien and Predator universe could totally do that.
Yeah. Now, there are Batman fights the Predator comics, because for a while there was a rights thing where DC and Predator had
gosh.
Yeah. So there's.
So wait,
he might.
Is Predator actually in the DC universe?
It's one of those hard ones to say.
Can we get Superman versus Alien? Like, is that just going to happen?
Well, see, they've also had Batman versus Punisher comic, and that's DC versus, and so they just within that comic book, it was kind of like, oh, I just came over from New York City to Gotham,
because that's how that works.
Just came on over and
flew over Metropolis,
right, to get here. On the Eastern Sea, can you make us a map of that? I don't do maps.
So Predator continuity aside,
maybe
it was a little tacked on, and
I thought so.
They're banking on this movie doing a little bit better than I think it's going to.
Maybe. I think that they were hoping for more fan base for Shane Black.
Okay, yeah.
Because, Iron Man 3 and like Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, like he's definitely done some things.
Solid films, and he's got a good following for a reason.
Yeah. People I think he has kind of a niche following though. He's not as well known as some other ones, but in certainly like filmmaking or like writing circles, especially among Generation Xers, right?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of his target demographic there. So, yeah, I mean, right at the end, there were some parts that felt a bit more 90s writing, like, you were
And by that
writing,
you mean sloppy?
Yeah.
Just...
The way it wrapped up was a little bit too cheesy pie, like...
Just a bit, yeah.
Like, and why is this person good at this? Because, of course, they are. Like...
a little bit.
And then, oh, did he get injured? Not a scratch.
Not even.
Okay, well, how far did he fall? Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I swear, our superheroes are getting more and more super, and our common heroes are getting more and more superheroes. And it's a shame because, when Bruce Willis, walks across glass, you feel for that dude.
Yeah.
And in this, you can drop, I don't know how far, and...
Yeah. And you're just kind of like, he's fine.
He's fine.
Look, there's a tree. He'll be fine. He'll be fine. He landed on a tree. Oh, so he's dead? He got impaled? He was broken his bones on the way down, and now he's in shock? And nope, perfectly fine.
In good filmmaking, you can sell the smallest fall as dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And in modern filmmaking, you take, 100-story fall and they're fine, and you can give some washed over explanation that doesn't explain it. So again, again, I'll forgive a lot for a good action film.
Sure.
But this was just a little loose around the edges.
Yeah, it's fine. But it's fine.
To be fair, I had a great time. I laughed. I did laugh, and I think that might be this film's saving grace, is that it was super funny.
If it wasn't funny, I might not even give it a 3.
Yeah.
There was some good action, but if it wasn't for the funny bits, like it had pretty good pacing overall. Although as far as the pacing goes, I was surprised. What I thought was the third act was like the end of the second.
Oh, really?
Like, there was kind of a fourth act that I wasn't really expecting plot wise. Like, oh, okay, they did this, then they did this, okay, and then now they're gonna do this. And then they go do that. And it was like, oh, wow, okay, an extra bit.
Yeah. I shouldn't have been surprised by the extra bit. I don't think I really was. I was surprised when it got set up a little bit. I'm like, oh, that's right. We're going to do another act after what we had seen.
They kind of set it up in the middle of the third act.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit like, okay. But, I think it's fine. Honestly, when I was like, oh, there's going to be another act, yeah, I got time for this. Like, I was a little bit like, I'm kind of ready for it to be over now, but...
Oh, no, I wasn't. The thing that actually captured my attention was the additions to the Predator universe. Okay. They were smaller than I was expecting.
Yeah.
I had a couple things that the film made me expect that were very interesting that didn't happen.
Okay.
There were two things in particular, and if we do it after spoilers thing, I'll divulge those. But they didn't end up happening anyway, and which was, in my opinion, a shame, because I would love to learn more about this Predator world and Predator universe.
Yeah.
What they did do was fun and interesting as well, but just on a much more lower world building level.
Right. It was kind of like, oh, okay, I feel like we probably figured that out from other movies, but it's kind of nice to have them say it.
There is enough like mythos and fan fiction and other things that have built on the Predator world, and they did acknowledge a few of those things in the Predator multiverse, and like some other stuff that's happened in extra canon things, like in comics and things like that.
Yeah.
But they just didn't really capitalize on a lot of what there was.
Yep. Yeah, I think so. Fun action movie.
Yep.
Lots of gore.
Lots of language, lots of crass humor.
Yeah.
A great depiction of what a kid who actively reads Penny Arcade might actually be like, which was hilarious.
When they showed that Penny Arcade poster in the background, and they didn't even focus on it.
And they had the Cardboard Tube Samurai cut out, like a minifigure, and so like there was a lot of like nerd reference and trivia, and I want to know what that video game was.
Yeah.
That was left on the screen.
Oh, for just a flash?
It was some sort of a survival-based video game, and I think it was Don't Starve.
I think it was Don't Starve.
I need to double check though.
Yeah.
So there's some really great gaming world shout-outs that made me really happy.
Yeah. So, Predator Blood Green.
No.
Yeah.
I usually don't drink swill like a grasshopper, but at least this is a flying grasshopper, which makes sense. They fly, which means it's got extra vodka in it.
Creme de menthe, creme de cocoa.
Vodka and milk.
You can't go wrong.
Well, yeah, you can. I promise next time we'll be drinking something significantly more genteel.
Hey, we're matching it to the film.
I think that's a bad idea.
I mean, yeah.
So, final rating. Mine is a solid 3 out of 5.
Yes, as is mine. 3 out of 5. If somebody else is watching it, I'd happily watch it with them, but I'm not gonna, go out of my way to see it again.
Yep.
Yeah.